Do you think it's time Sony gave us a 4TB version PS5 Pro? Or 2 tiny terabytes is enough for you? Go ahead and leave your answer in the comments section, and we'll get back to this topic very soon in the video. I keep getting this question, even when half the video is dedicated to all the reasons why we need the PS5 Pro, and there are no games. Brother, you are confusing PlayStation with Xbox. Next Gen is here, and the PlayStation platform is where you can experience top-notch gaming. Furthermore, all you PC Master Race people in the comment section screaming how superior PC is, most of you play on budget PCs that are more expensive than a PS5. Almost no PC gamer plays 4K natively. You need $1,500 just to appreciate some games in 4K at 60 FPS. PS5 and PS5 Pro are marvels of technology, offering incredible value for the price and ridiculous performance. Right now, we can find PS5s on Amazon for as low as $400. There is no PC at $400 that can even come close to the PS5, and you cannot prove me wrong. Try to play Horizon Forbidden West on a $400 PC, or The Last of Us Remake, or even Spider-Man 2. Oh wait, you don't have Spider-Man 2 yet. But on PS5, we can play Spider-Man 2 at 1440p with full ray tracing enabled at 60 FPS. You can't even play the first Spider-Man on a $400 PC at 1080p with ray tracing enabled and running at 60 FPS. Wake up, people, seriously. Stop with the argument that there are no PS5 games. I swear I did research on a lot of people who either comment or make these types of videos, and what I found is that they don't even own a PS5. They don't even know what games are on there. But who am I with only 2,800 subs to make such bold statements? Well, I'm nobody. Even with 100k subs, I'm nobody. By the way, you should totally subscribe. But I want to introduce you to someone who's more qualified than me. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mark Cerny, the architect. When making consoles, we're not trying to build low-cost PCs. I have been very surprised by the degree to which developers are using ray tracing, he begins. Putting that in, that was a big decision, and actually a rather late one. I thought that this is not going to get much use initially, but if we look at generations, and a generation is 7 years or so, software is created for 10 years. And so later in the life cycle, we will start seeing people using that technology. But instead, we had launch titles that were taking advantage of it. I guess having worked on games for consoles that were a bit difficult to get into, like the PlayStation 3, I can be a little skittish about very deep technology like that. But in this case, my guess as to how things would go was totally wrong, and I am so happy to have seen the early adoption of the technology. The other thing that has been surprising is the push to 60 frames per second. Based on previous console life cycles, I would have expected there to be a lot more games that are 30 frames per second only, just because the artwork can be so much more detailed if you have longer time to render it. Instead, the almost universal rule this time around has been the games run at 60. It's great from a play perspective. Gamers overwhelmingly prefer games that are higher frame rates. I just didn't expect such a departure from previous generations. Cerny says building a console takes about 4 years, and nowadays that's less time than it takes to make some of the big AAA titles. There is a lot of focus right now on the time it takes to build these games, and Cerny says that ultimately it's the developers that have chosen this path. And I see people asking, if the time to triangle has been greatly reduced, why is it then taking so many years to create a game? And the answer is that is what the teams are choosing to do. They are going after these massive creations that really do need 4 or 6 years to put together. One of the exciting aspects of console hardware design is that we have freedom with regards to what we put in the console, Cerny begins. Or to put that differently, we're not trying to build a low-cost PC, and we aren't bound by any particular standards. So, if we have a brainstorm, that audio can become much more immersive and dimensional if there's a dedicated unit that's capable of complex math, then we can do that. Or, if the future feels like high-speed SSDs rather than HDDs, we can put an end-to-end system in the console, everything from the flash dies to the software interfaces that the game creators use, and get 100% adoption. I like to think that occasionally we're even showing the way for the larger industry, and that our efforts end up benefiting those gaming on PC as well. It's a tech-heavy example, but on PS4 we had very efficient GPU interfaces, and that may well have spurred DirectX to become more efficient in response. Or to look at something more consumer-focused, I believe that releasing PS5 in 2020 with a very high-performance integrated SSD put pressure on the PC world to get their corresponding direct storage API into the hands of their gamers. He points to an amusing video by Linus Tech Tips, which attempted to kill the PlayStation 5 by building a $500 gaming PC that outperformed the console. They had to get a used motherboard, he says. That was the only way that they could build a PlayStation 5 equivalent for a PlayStation 5 price. And if you're using used parts, well, you can get a used PlayStation 5 for eBay for $300 something. I think as long as we continue to create that very nice package, the future of consoles is pretty bright. And I'll tell you what, I think GTA 6 will be the definitive way to experience the PS5 Pro. We're hearing so many rumors about this game. It's going to have 70% of all buildings enterable, super smart NPCs, and extensive interactions with most characters on the map. We've seen iterations of this in RDR2, but GTA 6 is expected to take it to the next level. GTA 6 is coming in 2025, and it won't be available on PC for another 1 or 2 years after that. The PS5 Pro is releasing this year, and it's going to fly off the shelves faster than you can say PC gaming is better. Everyone is going to buy a PS5 Pro. You need to understand how big this is for Sony. You have no idea. The PS5 Pro is going to be the best-selling console of all time, just because they are the only ones confirmed to release a mid-gen upgrade. Xbox has already released their revised models. To answer another question, someone asked me how I am so sure that the PS5 Pro will launch with a 2TB SSD. I always quote my sources in the description, but I try not to leave links anymore. When I leave a link in the description, and that website you click on has another link to a fishy website, or let's say a not safe for work website, it comes back to me and my whole channel can be deleted. But I write the names of the sources, I quote the websites, I give screenshots. Even with screenshots these days, I need to be careful because apparently I can get a copyright strike for leaking authentic confidential documents. And I have a few, trust me, I have, but I'm not sharing them. Where do I have them from? I cannot tell you. So you can believe me or not. What I can tell you is that you can look at my track record. Last year, I correctly predicted all the details of the PS5 Slim, down to the smallest details, including the detachable disk drive, increased storage, better cooling system, release date, and more. So the real question you guys should be asking is this: do you think the PS5 Pro will have a 2TB version and a 4TB SSD version? This is a cool kind of question, you know? This is actually something worth discussing. Sony would be insane not to launch the PS5 Pro with a minimum of 2T out of the box, and I'd gladly pay extra for a 4T version. You need to understand something. Games are getting massive these days, surpassing 200 to 250 gigs per game. It's not unrealistic to expect this kind of storage from Sony, especially now when SSD prices are falling. Now, let's talk about all the cool games coming out this year that will also benefit from PS5 Pro, and we'll also talk about some rumored PS5 Pro games in development. Based on the seminal Chinese story Journey to the West, you play as Sun Wukong, a legendary monkey that's a master of both magic and martial arts. Running on Unreal Engine 5, the game looks stunning with forest ruins populated by various animal-based demons to fight. We would hesitate to call this game a Souls-like. It's more Souls-adjacent with some elements of that action game subgenre, but it is a touch more forgiving. The environment design feels far more linear here as well, with some fairly wide spaces to explore, but no signs of locations wrapping back onto themselves. In terms of difficulty, we'd say it still provides a very stern challenge, but Wukong's abilities give you a significant leg up. Hitting enemies with your basic combo builds up will, which can be spent using a heavy attack. If you land the hit, you'll gain back a small bit of your health. Dodging is your main source of defense, with no block or parry. What we know from Push Square is that it isn't just melee strikes at your disposal. You gain access to a spell called Immobilize, which, as the name suggests, freezes your enemy temporarily, allowing you to smack them around for a few precious seconds before they're freed. This is an extremely handy tool in boss fights. Magic attacks like this one restore over time, meaning you can't cheese fights with endless Immobilize castings. Speaking of bosses, the demo includes several. Some are large, intimidating beasts, while others are formidable human warriors. Phantom Blade Zero might get pushed to 2025 because we're in the second half of the year, and they're only saying 2024. They're saying that once they do these demos at shows like TGS, Gamescom, Summer Game Fest, all that, they're gonna do feedback testing and re-implement the feedback into the game and then release the demo for everyone. If that demo comes out by like August, I would think that's when they'll announce the release date. I thought it was a Souls-like. I guess it's not. It's more of a Devil May Cry type game. I'm very excited for it. Hopefully, they get a release date that's closer to 2024 than 2025. And then finally, Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out November 15th. It seems like there's a lot of hate for this game online, but the gameplay they showed during the Xbox showcase looked pretty cool to me. There are tens of thousands of people that play Assassin's Creed games every month. Assassin's Creed is a huge franchise, and there's a lot of people that will buy the $130 version to support it because they want to get more Assassin's Creed games. So when people think like, well, who plays Assassin's Creed? AC Shadows is going to flop. Bro, you don't understand how big Assassin's Creed is. Those people are in their own little communities, and they're not going to. Like, why would they interact with a post from like an Asmongold video where Asmongold is lighting Ubisoft up for having a $130 edition of the game? They're not going to go in the comments and argue or anything. And then some people are like, well, but the trailer got mass downvoted. Okay, like, yeah, mass downvotes happen. But as we've seen, they don't tend to be a great indicator for the final performance of a product. There's games like Hogwarts Legacy that will have massive hate campaigns against them, and that game ended up being the biggest game of the entire year. So I don't put a lot of weight into how dramatic the downvote campaigns and stuff are. I think the people that are doing that are probably not the target customer anyway. Now that we saw real gameplay, not fake ones like Watch Dogs beforehand, I'm sure you've already seen people talking about their hands-on experience with the game at Summer Game Fest. So you better be sure I'll be playing that on PS5 Pro. LEGO Horizon Adventures does not have a release date, just holiday 2024. So I'm thinking November or December for that game. I'm definitely going to try that out. Next up is the make or break moment for Sony's live service initiative, Conquered, on August 23rd. I think this game is positioned to sell pretty well just because it is only $40. And all of the post-release content is going to be free. Okay, Star Wars Outlaws is impressive. We are flying through space, going to and seamlessly flying into the planet with no loading screen. What's up, Bethesda? What's your excuse? The world looks amazing. Say what you want about Ubisoft, but they are masters of creating big, vast, open worlds. Gameplay mechanics? Well, it's clear they use Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed mechanics. They also showcased a machine gun with a shield pack. Your mount is a flying scooter that looks pretty fun. While the graphics look awesome and the world is breathtaking, we need to address one thing. The facial animations need work. But knowing Ubisoft, that's probably not going to improve. All in all, I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. The first ever open-world Star Wars game. Transitioning from dogfighting to flying seamlessly from planet to planet is also amazing. You know what would be really cool? If halfway through we get some force powers and a lightsaber. Become a Jedi of sorts. What do you think? Doom: The Dark Ages is an upcoming first-person shooter game developed by ID Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. It is intended to be the 8th main entry in the Doom franchise and the 3rd installment of the modern series. Narratively, it serves as a prequel to Doom, 2016. The game is scheduled to be released for PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series in 2025. So yeah, guys, we also get all the Xbox games on PS5, so congrats to Xbox for having a better showcase than PlayStation. People also seem to forget that State of Play is the small show from Sony, the PlayStation Showcase. That'll probably going to get in September is going to be truly insane. Alleged images from an early development build of Marvel's Spider-Man 3 may have just been revealed by a group of data miners. Developer Insomniac Games released Marvel's Spider-Man 2 less than a year ago, but it could already be hard at work on the 3rd mainline entry of the blockbuster series. The graphics are expectedly a bit choppy as the build is likely not even pre-alpha, but interestingly, the suit design and motif of the female Spider-Man character could point to her being Cindy Moon, aka Silk. Spider-Man 2's post-credits scene teased the inclusion of Cindy Moon as a potential protagonist for the next game, but without revealing her face. It was also hinted that she may not have received her powers yet, and it remains to be seen when Insomniac plans to formally introduce her into the in-game universe. Wolverine's plot, characters, and voice cast were all exposed, in addition to early alpha of the game. A fully playable Wolverine demo was leaked not too long afterward, prompting Insomniac to give out an official statement regarding the breach and DMCA notices to be sent to those who downloaded it. Let's talk about the games that need PS5 Pro upgrade. I know I'm sorry this video is long, trust me, I was actually thinking to split it in two, but it doesn't really work like that. I really want to condense and explain everything in one video. You could also save it to watch later playlist and finish it later. By the way, this video took a very long time to produce, so a like would be delightful. Dragon's Dogma 2 is one of the few PS5 games that isn't capable of hitting 60 FPS, FPS. But could that change on PS5 Pro? There's a chance that the additional graphical grunt of the PlayStation 5 could let Dragon's Dogma 2 run at a higher frame rate if Capcom is willing to put in the work. Running a game at 60 FPS has become the preferred option of many, especially as there are so many PS5 120 FPS games too. Dragon's Dogma 2 is thankfully an outlier when it comes to frame rate this generation, and hopefully the PS5 Pro can help it reach the 60 FPS standard we've all come to appreciate. Alan Wake 2 is an impressive graphical showcase on PS5, but it pushes Sony's console to its limits. As a result, it doesn't feature any ray tracing like on PC, which has a transformative effect on the game's visuals. What's more, the quality and performance modes fail to maintain a steady frame rate throughout, with image quality taking a noticeable hit when running the game in performance mode. Cyberpunk 2077 looks great on PS5, but it doesn't come close to the visual splendor that PC gamers get to enjoy. That's mostly due to the console version's ray tracing support, which only covers local shadows and is barely noticeable. Compare that to PC, where you can get ray-traced reflections, lighting, and path tracing, and it's like you're playing an entirely new game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth offers stunning cutscene sequences that showcase the game's impressive character models and animations. These sequences are crafted with high attention to detail, bringing the characters and their stories to life in a visually captivating manner. One of the significant drawbacks is the inconsistent lighting quality. Some areas suffer from poor lighting, which can detract from the overall visual experience and make certain scenes appear less polished. In performance mode, the image quality can drop noticeably. This mode, to provide smoother gameplay, often sacrifices visual fidelity, leading to a less crisp and detailed presentation. This game will definitely benefit from PS5 Pro. In Star Wars Jedi Survivor, opting for performance mode can sometimes lead to a less than optimal experience due to occasional blurriness and frame rates. This can be particularly frustrating during critical moments such as intense boss fights, where smooth gameplay and clear visuals are crucial for success. Helldivers 2, touted as the best-selling Sony IP of all time, delivers a visually impressive experience. However, when the action intensifies, even in performance mode, frame rate drops can detract from the gameplay. To truly appreciate the chaotic battles and fast-paced action of Helldivers 2, a PS5 Pro upgrade becomes essential.